Have you ever seriously asked yourself, what's the point of trying to live a good, ethical life? I mean, not in some future heaven, but right here, right now. What's the actual tangible benefit? Well, it's a huge question, and tonight we're going to dive into a story about a powerful king who demanded an answer. And the conversation that followed, it became one of the most important teachings of the Buddha, the Sāmaññaphala Sutta.
So picture this. It's a gorgeous full moon night. King Ajatasattu is up on his palace roof with all his ministers. He looks out at the sky and says, "Wow, just how lovely, how beautiful is this moonlit night." But here's the thing. He doesn't feel it. On the outside, everything is perfect, serene. But inside, his mind is just churning with anxiety. He's got a question that's eating him alive.
So he turns to his court and he basically says, look, guys, I get it for everyone else. A craftsman, a soldier, a farmer, they all get a clear, visible reward for their work in this life. They make a living, they support their families, they earn respect. But, he asks, what's the visible, tangible fruit for someone who gives all that up to become a monk? What's the immediate payoff?
And this wasn't some new thought he was having. He'd been shopping this question around for a while. He'd already gone to 6 of the most famous spiritual teachers of his time, and every single one of them gave him an answer that just fell flat, completely missed the point. Let's take a quick look at why he was so frustrated. First, he talks to Purana Kassapa, and this guy's answer is, whoa, it's a wild one. He basically says morality is a complete illusion. Do good things, there's no merit. Do horrible things, no demerit. According to him, your actions have 0 real consequences. For a king looking for a reason to be good, this was obviously a total non-starter. So, next. Next up is Makkhali Gosala. His philosophy? Pure fatalism. He taught that we're all on this fixed, predetermined track. It's like we're a ball of string that's just unspooling over millions of years. No matter what you do, no effort, no virtue, nothing, you can't change your destiny. You just have to wait it out. Again, a dead end for a king who wants to know how his choices matter.
The third teacher, Ajita Kesakambala, was a total materialist. He argued that a person is just a bunch of physical elements. When you die, that's it. Poof, you're annihilated. So things like giving, sacrifice, or an afterlife, they're all foolish ideas. For a king searching for a benefit in this life, being told that ultimately nothing matters was, you guessed it, another huge disappointment.
And this is where we get the king's brilliant summary of the whole experience. For every single one of those 6 teachers, he says, it was as if I'd asked about a mango and he described a breadfruit. I mean, what a perfect metaphor, right? He was asking for something specific, practical, something he could see and taste right now, and all he got were these abstract philosophical theories that had nothing to do with his actual question.
So back on that rooftop, when his ministers start suggesting the very same 6 teachers all over again, the king just stays silent. And that silence says everything, doesn't it? It's in that moment of complete disappointment that his royal physician, a man named Jivaka, speaks up and suggests someone new, the Buddha, who happens to be staying in his mango grove nearby.
The king agrees. They get the royal elephants ready and the whole procession heads out. But as they get close to the grove, this sudden fear just grips him. He turns to Jivaka and says, "You're not tricking me, are you? Is this an ambush?" Jivaka has no idea what he's talking about. And the king explains, "How can there be over 1,000 monks in there and I don't hear a single cough or a sneeze or even a whisper? That's silence. It's terrifying."
Jivaka reassures him, and the king finally enters the grove. And there he sees the Buddha sitting perfectly still in the middle of this huge, silent assembly. The king collects himself, pays his respects, and then he asks the question that's been burning a hole in his soul. Is it possible, sir, to point out a tangible fruit of the contemplative life, one that's visible right here in this very world?
Now, unlike all the others, the Buddha doesn't deflect or talk about metaphysics. He looks at the king and says, yes, it is possible. But he doesn't just give a single answer. Instead, he lays out an entire path, a kind of ladder of tangible benefits, where each step you take gives you a fruit that's even better, even more profound than the last.
The Buddha starts with something so simple, so grounded, that the king can't possibly miss it. He says, "Your Majesty, imagine one of your own servants, a slave. He's bound to your will. He has to get up before you and go to bed after you. Now what if that man decides to shave his head, put on the saffron robes, and become a monk? Would you then say, 'Hey you, get back here and be my slave again'?" The king says, absolutely not. I would get up, bow to him, offer him a seat, and make sure he had everything he needed. And the Buddha just smiles and says, there you have it. That is the first visible fruit of the contemplative life, respect and freedom.
But that's just the first rung of the ladder. From that initial fruit of freedom, the Buddha outlines the whole training. It starts with sila, ethical conduct. Living that way naturally brings you this inner joy, the happiness of being blameless. That peace then leads to contentment and having control over your senses. And all of that prepares you for the really crucial part, freeing your mind from its inner obstacles, its hindrances. Only then can you experience the deep bliss of meditation, the state we call jhana.
And the way the Buddha describes overcoming these mental hindrances, things like constant desire, anger, laziness, anxiety, doubt, it's so powerful. He says it's not some abstract mental state. The feeling is real, it's tangible, it feels like you've just been freed from a crushing debt, like you've finally recovered from a chronic illness, like you're walking out of a prison cell. It's this immediate, incredible sense of relief and lightness.
So, once that relief sets in and the mind isn't burdened anymore, it can naturally enter the first jhana. The Buddha describes this as a state of bliss and joy that's born purely from seclusion from all that negative mental chatter. He says the meditator's entire body is just drenched, soaked, and saturated with this pure, blissful feeling.
As the practice gets deeper, the mind gets even more unified and quiet. In the second jhana, that bliss isn't even connected to thinking anymore. It's born directly from concentration itself. The Buddha's analogy for this is just beautiful. He says it's like a deep mountain lake with no inlets, but it's fed by a cool spring welling up from the bottom, filling the entire lake from within. That's the joy. The practitioner keeps refining their mind, moving through these states until they reach the fourth jhana. And at this point, even the ideas of pleasure and pain, happiness and sadness have completely faded away. All that's left is this state of pure, pristine equanimity and mindfulness, an unshakable calm. And every single one of these states, from that first little bit of joy to this profound peace, is a tangible fruit, a visible reward experienced right here, right now.
But the Buddha explains that even these incredible states of blissful peace, as amazing as they are not the final goal. They're actually powerful tools that sharpen and purify the mind, getting it ready for the highest, most profound fruit of all, a kind of knowledge that changes literally everything.
This ultimate fruit is called asavaka jnana. It means the direct personal knowledge that the deep-seated mental corruptions, the taints or defilements, have been completely destroyed. This isn't just a feeling of peace. It is a liberating insight, seeing reality exactly as it is. And this knowledge is so complete that the person knows with total certainty, birth is ended, the holy life has been lived, there is no more of this. This is the final, unshakable freedom. This is the end game.
King Ajatasattu is just completely floored by this. The Buddha didn't just answer his question, he laid out a clear, step-by-step, verifiable path from basic human dignity all the way to ultimate liberation. And the king's reaction is just as dramatic as the teaching.
He cries out, "Excellent, venerable sir! Excellent! It's as if you've set upright what was knocked over, revealed what was hidden, shown the way to someone who is completely lost." Right then and there, he declares himself a lay follower for the rest of his life, taking refuge in the Buddha, his teaching, and the community.
But then, just when you think the story is over, it takes this final tragic twist. The king, moved by the clarity and the hope of this teaching, makes a shocking confession. He admits, "A transgression overcame me. Out of foolishness, I murdered my own father, a good man, a righteous king, all for the sake of this throne." And in that moment, we finally understand the real reason for his anxiety on that moonlit night. He wasn't just wrestling with philosophy, he was drowning in the consequences of his own actions. The king begs for forgiveness for his crime, and then he leaves. And once he's gone, the Buddha turns to his monks and delivers the absolute gut-punch ending to the story. He says, "This king has dug his own grave. He was so close. If he had not committed that terrible crime, if he hadn't killed his own father, the pure, stainless eye of the Dhamma would have opened for him right here as he sat on this very spot." The king got the perfect answer he was looking for, but because of his past, he couldn't reap its ultimate reward. The weight of his own actions created a barrier that was just too heavy to overcome in that moment.
It's the most tragic illustration of the very point the Buddha was making. Our actions have real, tangible consequences that determine our freedom. And that leaves all of us with a really vital question to think about. What is the true cost of our actions?